Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Doodle Robot and today I'm going to be doing the tag questions from NOV Mad Tea Party 2024. So November's Mad Tea Party, hosted by Jamie's Coloring Love, Meg's Coloring Corner, Julianne Annette Art, and myself, Doodle Robot. So today we're going to, while I do this voiceover, we're going to be doing the background from my Alice page for November. This is from Alice's Little Wonderlands. And I have already prepped it with 2 layers. The first layer was Apple Barrel Matte Acrylic Paint in Cameo Pink. And then on top of that, I did some stencil work with Silky Gel Crayons. And that's what I would consider the first layer. And now I'm going to go in and do a whole kind of mixed media-ish thing, although it's going to be all with acrylic paint. So using acrylic paint and stencils and just stuff I've been watching in the mixed media and journal videos, because I really want to do that, and this seemed like the place to do it. So I'll be answering the tag questions while we watch the video. I'll also pop in and talk about what I'm doing. So right there, I've just painted a little bit on the background, and then I'm trying some splattering paint, but that's the only time I did the splattering paint. I didn't really care for it in this particular application, so I abandoned that, plus it was super messy. The colors I'll be using, like I said, Apple Barrel Matte Acrylics are Black, Antique White, Flamenco Red, Pink Parfait, Cardinal Red, and Velvet Crush. And as I said, various stencils. So let's get on, until there's something for me to talk about here, let's get on with our Alice in Wonderland tag questions. Now, anybody can do this. I would invite anybody at all who wants to show their Alice in Wonderland books and do the tag questions to go ahead and do that. Anybody who has a YouTube channel, you could probably do it on Instagram as well. You'd have to type them out, I guess. I'm not that great at Instagram. Sorry about that. So there's 2 sets of questions in the Alice in Wonderland tag. The first 5 questions are about the movie or the book, I guess. And if you recall from when I did my Alice in Wonderland book tour, basically all my Alice books, I haven't seen Alice in Wonderland since I was probably 5-6 years old, so I'm going to do terrible at the questions from the books or movies. And I don't believe I ever read the book. I read a lot of the classics, but I don't think I read that one for some reason or other. So, with no further ado, we'll just get right into the questions. Who is your favorite character and why? Well, if I can remember way back to when I was 5, I believe that the Cheshire Cat was my favorite character. I don't know why. Maybe because it was the bad guy you like to hate or something. If I'm even remembering right, was the Cheshire Cat a bad guy? Would it seem like a bad guy to a 5-year-old? Maybe. I don't know. That's all I can say about that question. I can't remember. Number 2, what did you think of the Queen of Hearts? Well, if I remember correctly, I believe that she terrified me. Although I could be remembering wrong. So, I don't know. Number 3, how long do you think Alice was asleep for? I don't know. I can't answer that question. I don't remember her sleeping, or maybe she was just dreaming that she had this whole trippy experience. So I'm not sure about that. Number 4, what did the flowers think Alice was? Again, I don't know. Unless that's when her neck grew and somebody thought she was a snake or something. I thought that it was a bird who thought she was a snake, but I don't know. Number 5. When Alice met Tweedledum and Tweedledee, what tale did they tell her? I have no recollection of that whatsoever. I mean, I know who Tweedledum and Tweedledee are, but I don't remember anything like that. So I think I pretty much just failed that part of the quiz there. So anyways, as you can see in the video, I got these, I don't even know what they're called. I'll link them below for you. They're awesome. I consider them a mark making tool. I think they're silicone brushes maybe, but I don't know if that's their official title. But yes, I got these at Hobby Lobby. They were a really good price. They were on sale on that day that I walked in there, not expecting to buy them, but they were way cheaper or comparably priced to Amazon. So since I was there and I could touch them and feel them, I picked them up. So those are awesome. Like I said, I'll link the Amazon ones that I have in my cart that I was going to buy before I ran across these in Hobby Lobby. I'll link those for you. It's great. I love making those kinds of marks too and on things. And I used to have to employ different tricks before this current tool. Now I seem very hesitant when I'm using it because it's my first time using these silicone brushes, if that's what they're called. And in a minute, I'm going to start trying to paint with them because all the YouTube channels that I watch, they paint with them and they get like nice, rough, distressed looking textures. I don't think it worked so good on the paper that I was using. It was a little too flat. Plus, I'm using craft paint, which is very high fluidity paint, as opposed to some of the more firm body paints. It's soft body paint, as opposed to the thicker paints. So that might also have something to do with why I didn't get that effect here in a second when I go to try to paint with them. Although it was rougher than a paintbrush. It wasn't quite what I've seen in the videos, but I will definitely try again when I get some maybe different paint on a different surface. All right, so back to the questions. The next set of questions are questions from your Wonderland. I guess if I had a Wonderland, these are the questions from my Wonderland. So, number 1. If you had your own Wonderland, what kind of characters would you like to see in my own Wonderland? I think I wouldn't mind the Cheshire Cat. I also wouldn't mind the hookah smoking caterpillar, although I'm not sure how that would get worked into my Wonderland. I would think of my Wonderland more as like the Matrix. That seems very Wonderlandy to me for some reason. Although, is that the movie that was based on Alice in Wonderland? I'm not sure. I know there's a red pill and a blue pill or something, but I'm not sure. So probably characters that can do things like they do in the Matrix, or that like Jedi Knights do. Those kind of characters would pepper my Wonderland, I guess. Number 2. What kind of things made you curious as a kid? Curious as a kid. I don't really remember being overly curious as a kid. I remember watching a lot of TV. And maybe that's how I saw the world. I mean, that was I'm very much of the generations that is pre-computers in the home, pre-internet, pre-cell phones, all that stuff. Like I said, we got a computer in our house when I went off to college, and they were basically glorified typewriters then. So, yeah, curiosity, I guess my curiosity was attended to by just watching TV. So, and I mean, I did like school a lot. I liked learning things. So, but now, as compared to now as an adult with cell phones in hand and, the internet and computers that can do so much, um, everything, I'm curious about everything. I will go down the proverbial rabbit hole about any number of topics. And over the course of my life, it has been various different topics. For a long time, I was really into, and this is a little bit pre-internet, it wasn't what it is today. I was into home improvement. Not only like tearing out my walls and, mostly just tearing out walls and opening up the space, but all kinds of construction in my house, and was geared more towards thrifting and flipping. Although I didn't flip it, I would fix it up and make it all nice and cool and just keep it in my house. Those were pre-minimalist days. So, and I did that for years. Like, I can't tell you how many times I redid the house, got new furniture, fixed it up, and had it in my house for a long time. And then when it was, when I was bored with that, I got new furniture and fixed it up again. That went on for a long time. But also any topic at all that could, be researched on the internet was probably researched by me. A lot of topics sticking to the arts more so, the arts and humanities more so than, say, science or something like that. Nowadays, the rabbit hole is a little bit different. You don't even have to, you don't have to Google it anymore and read about it and look at still photos. Now you just YouTube it, and it seems so much quicker to feed that curiosity, I guess. So, let's see. Question number 3. So here, before we answer question number 3, we'll go back to the thing. You can see I've made lots of marks. I've tried painting with the silicone brushes. I'm going to try this pink with a stencil. I'm not crazy about the stencil I used. I used it twice and then moved away from that. And then I'm going to, I believe, go off camera and do some painting, just regular painting. And then I'll come back and I'll show you like what I painted, and then we'll get back into the stencils and stuff like that. So, question number 3. If you had a drink me bottle and an eat me cake, what would happen if you ate and drank the cake and bottle in my Wonderland? Like I said, I kind of think of my adult Wonderland as more like the Matrix, so I guess I'd do whatever Neo did. Oh, he woke up in his little pod, and he hadn't even used his eyes or his muscles or whatever. So yeah, that sounds dismal, but I would hope that my Wonderland was like not the Matrix. Matrix-y, but not the depression of the Matrix. It'd be a happier version, this dystopian world that we are living in right now. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? I'd wake up in a world where justice and equality came. I guess that's what my Matrix would be like. Would you do it? Yes. If I was going to wake up in a world where justice and equality reigned supreme, aka I guess that would be Star Trek, yeah, I would definitely do it. Number 4. Have you ridden in the teacup ride at Disneyland? Yes. Many times, I imagine. We went to Disneyland quite a few times when I was a kid. We lived in Arizona, so it was relatively close. And I believe in those days, it was not the astronomical prices that it is today. I recently looked up what it costs to go to Disneyland because I'm like, oh, I'm kind of close to Florida now. I could go to Disney World, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna pay. I'm not paying that to go into Disneyland. That is outrageous. Like, they've. I don't see why maybe people have kids, but I don't see why anybody would pay that price to go there. Anyway, I know they even have Star Wars Land or whatever it is, which is appealing, but I'm like, it's not appealing at that price as an adult. So, but yes, I have ridden in the teacup ride. I believe there are little kid pictures of me on the teacup ride somewhere. Number 5. If you were Alice, how would you react to falling down the rabbit hole? I'd probably be in a total panic. In my fantasy, I wouldn't be, and I'd be all curious, but in reality, I'd probably be in a total panic and like freaking out. Would you be brave enough to face your fears in said rabbit hole? Well, I guess if I had fallen down and I was there, I guess, yeah, I would be, because I'd be looking for the way out. So I'd be on the hunt for how to get out. So, number 6. Who told you stories when you were young, and what types of stories? You know, this is weird. I don't remember anybody telling me stories when I was young. I'm not saying that didn't happen. Maybe people did tell me stories. I just don't remember anybody telling me stories. I do remember that my parents had the record of Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and I really liked that story. So, other than that, I don't really remember stories. I remember reading lots of Dr. Seuss books. He was my favorite, children's author at the time, but I think I read those myself. Possibly my parents read me Dr. Seuss. I'm going to go with that. They read me Dr. Seuss stories. That's about it. It's a long time ago, so I don't really know. Would you celebrate a very merry unbirthday? I don't even know what that is. I feel like I did terrible on these questions, but I don't know what a very merry unbirthday is. However, if it would turn back the clock and make me young, yeah, I'd celebrate it every day. But I suspect that is not what it is. If a very merry unbirthday is sitting around a table and eating your favorite foods and chatting with friends and family and having a grand old time, then yes, I would do that every day. But I'm not really sure if I'm getting what a very merry unbirthday is. I'm sure that's something that happened in Alice in Wonderland, because these are all Alice in Wonderland questions. But yeah, if it is as I have described either of those two things, yes, I would celebrate that. All right, let's see what we're up to in my work there. Okay, so I'm back with the stencil. I'm adding more diamonds. So there's diamonds kind of on the first layer, diamonds on, what would we say, the second layer. And there with the diamonds, I've mixed kind of the really maroon, dark red, and black a little bit, so they're a very dark maroon color. This is my first time using stencils in this manner with that little dabby brush. I think. I always had that stuff in the classroom and I taught kids how to do it. I didn't actually ever do it myself. So, so yay for teachers doing things that they teach but don't actually do. Although in the art room, I didn't like kids to depend on such things too much. But I did have a few things that, they could utilize once in a while with permission if it was allowed in the particular assignment. I will come back to those diamonds in a little bit on whatever layer we'll be on then. So here is where I've taken a break and I'm pointing out to you where I've gone and painted with some of the colors that I've already been using. It looked a little bit like you could see the background color, which I had used, the cameo pink that I spoke about before, but it had looked like I was trying not to get too close to the focal points, the subject matter, and so I wanted to fill that in so it looked more intentional, like a background, rather than me trying to work a background around the subject matter that was there. So that is why I took a break and painted offline. And I like, in this case, this is where your transparent colors work really well because I was able to go in and paint close to the subject matter, right up to the subject matter, and yet you can still see the background, all the work I did in the background behind it because all those paints that I used are transparent or semi-transparent, whichever the case may be. I'm going back in with the diamonds a little bit because I covered over them. I want to balance the small diamonds with the small diamonds that are on the bottom. I don't know if I did it on camera or not, but I actually did go down to the bottom and kind of go over the small diamonds again, just to make them stand out a little bit more because they got covered up a bit. So now that there's all this Alice in Wonderland stuff going on in my life here with coloring books, I'm thinking, I need to find that video and watch it. I don't really want to read the book. I'm not much of a reader these days. My spare time is spent, doing coloring book things. But I am wondering if I can find a video of Alice in Wonderland to watch. The old Disney one, I'd like to see that one. I wonder if there are any modern day versions of Alice in Wonderland. It's never been a movie I was terribly interested in. So in the video, I had planned on this day I was going to work on a totally different coloring page that I had planned on finishing in a different book. But I woke up and the last couple of days I've been watching like mixed media journaling type videos on YouTube, just from channels. I have no idea what channels they are. And I just had this overwhelming urge to do this. So I got out of bed and I just started doing this. So when my head pops in and you see my hair, it's all crazy because it's bedhead. So I apologize for that. If I'd have known my head was going to be on a video, I didn't even know I was going to video this. It was just out of the blue. I just decided to do this and video it in my camera setup that I don't like, that's attached to my table. That tends to be a bit shaky when the table shakes, but I mean, it seems to be okay in the video, so. I put this writing on the first layer, but I'm doing it again on whatever layer this is, 4 or 5, whatever layer we're on, just to have, similar elements repeating, so we have some unification. Then it will get covered up a bit here in a minute when I start doing some collage work on there, just a tiny bit of collage work. Yeah, you can see my crazy hair poking in there. It is super crazy. Sorry about that. I didn't know I was going to be on TV. I have to say, doing this was really fun. Like, at some point, I became starving because I had just woken up and started doing this morning, or on this morning. And at some point, I took a break and had some food. I think I had to let stuff dry or something. But I was mad when I had to, like, go get some liquid and some food in me so I could continue doing what I was doing. And it really didn't take very long either, surprisingly. And I have to say that when I started with we'll say layer 2, not the paint and silky gel crayon that I put, say, on the first layer, oh my gosh, I thought I had ruined it. I'm like, oh gosh, this doesn't look anything like those things I see on the videos of people doing this style of art. But I just kept going and going, and in the end, I'm okay with it. I think it looks okay. And now I have to figure out what to do with the subject matter, the focal point of it. So I am just going to let this play out. There's about, 15 more minutes of me doing various mixed media and collage work. Although, I do want to talk about when I get to the collage work. I cut out the 4 suits of a deck of cards because I believe that was in Alice in Wonderland. I see pictures of that in the Alice in Wonderland books. And so you'll see me doing that a little bit, probably in the next clip, I'm not sure. But when I was cutting out one of my suits, I accidentally cut the page. So at the bottom where I'm putting the spade, I think it's the spade, the bottom middle, I knew one of the suits had to go there because I had to repair the cut that I made. So when you see me messing around with the suits of the cards, you'll see that I am trying to fix the cut that I made in the paper. So, all right. Well, I'll let you watch in peace and quiet from here on out, and I'll see you next time. Live long and prosper. Bye-bye.